Hello, everyone, and welcome to this webinar. I'm glad to see that you all made some time this afternoon to join us. So this is the webinar in the STEM Alliance series of STEM careers and skills of the future. And we are going to talk about careers in computer engineering today. The webinar is co-organized by the STEM Alliance, Systemic and Scientics. And let me just quickly introduce myself and the team here, and also our presenter. I'm Audrey Pop from European Schoolnet. I will be moderating the session. I will be reading your questions at the end of the webinar. We also have Björn from European Schoolnet. He's going to help you with any technical issues that you may have. So please write him in private chat if you're facing any issues. And then we also have Evita from the systemic team here. Welcome to everyone. And also we have our speaker, Gonzalo. So hi, welcome Gonzalo. I will have a short introduction of the webinar and our speaker. This webinar is, as I mentioned, part of the STEM Careers and Skills of the Future series. And the purpose of the webinar is to give teachers, career counselors, educational authorities, and researchers an understanding of careers which can be developed in the STEM field, especially in the IT and cybersecurity industry. So our speaker, Gonzalo Abreu, he's a managing partner in MakeWise. He will talk about his career and his life path, sharing his insights on different stages of his personal development from being a student and employee to becoming an entrepreneur. And he will also talk about how technology is changing the way we work and the skills that are vital to thrive in the future companies. I think it's a quite interesting perspective for teachers, and hope you will all enjoy. This webinar is an opportunity to learn more about STEM careers and the careers that exist in tech companies, the study path to follow, the key skills that are needed, possible places of employment, and teaching materials to support you in advancing your learnings from the webinar. So shortly about Gonzalo, he's programming. He has been programming since the age of 6. He has a passion for technology and building things, and his passion has only been increasing ever since. He started studying and developing skills on his own for several years and then got a degree in computer engineering. After working in tech companies for some time, Gonzalo created MakeWise, a startup that began as a consulting company developing turnkey projects and now creates disruptive products using computer vision and machine learning for transportation, logistics, and retail. So that's shortly from my side, and now I'm going to give the floor to Gonzalo, and all participants will have a chance at the end to get an answer to all your questions. So please feel free to add all your questions in the chat. We will collect them and try to reply to as many as we can by the end of the webinar. Enjoy.
Hi, so hello everyone, and thank you very much for your invitation and for attending this webinar. It's a pleasure to be here to share a bit of my history and some of the knowledge I've been gathering throughout the years and share it with you. I hope this will be useful for you, for your students, and for your future careers. So let's just get straight to the point. Quick overview of my professional and educational history until now. So I was born in 1977. I'm 41 years old at the moment. And when I was about 6, I had the fortune of having my first computer, which was given to me by my dad. I will talk about it a bit next. So this is just an overview. After Fast forward a couple of years, and in high school, I started learning sciences and chemistry. So I didn't go to computer and programming at school. I did it as a hobby alongside with music. And afterwards, I went to get a degree at the college in computer engineering in Instituto Superior Técnico here in Portugal, which is considered one of the best schools of engineering in Europe. Then, when I finished my studies, I went working for a few companies, Altitude and Janela Digital. Only did it for about 3 years, and then I started working by myself, first as an independent software engineer, and then creating MakeWise in 2004. So in the early years, I've always been very passionate about technology and always had a very inquiring mind about how things worked. And so when I got my hands on my first computer, a ZX Spectrum 48K, I don't know if you've ever heard about it, but it was a small computer with 48 kilobytes of RAM. So this seems funny nowadays when we're talking about gigabytes, but that was all we had at the time. And this computer, we connected it to a TV set and we could just have fun with it. We'd loaded programs, mainly games, through a cassette player. It took about 5 to 6 minutes to load a simple game. Compare that with what we have now, where we have almost instant loading of mobile apps. So we really had to wait to get our hands on something running in the computer. And I also had a thermal printer at the time that connected to the Spectrum. And so I started doing some small programming stuff in the BASIC language. I did stuff to print out using the printer. And I also, by this time, I got my hands on the first internals of memory management, because you could use alter some memory addresses to have infinite lives, for example, in some games. So I started to get my hands around these things and learning how computers work internally, and it just amazed me. Then many years later on, I finally had my first PC, which was an Olivetti PC-1, and it already had 512 kilobytes of memory, so huge upgrade. And I continued from then on, having later on tower PCs and other kinds of equipments. But I was always very, very curious about both the hardware and the software, and I always explored these things by myself, and had also some friends that were also curious about this, and so we had a team that learned together. But as I told you in my overview, I learned chemistry in high school. And why was that? Well, I had the offering of computer science, but I knew the curriculum, and I wasn't going to learn anything new, because the things that I was going to learn at school, I already did it by myself as a hobby and in my spare time. So I thought it was better for me to gather more knowledge about different subjects. And so in the science area, the other offer that I had was chemistry. So I believe nowadays that this was really important for me, learning chemistry and biology, because it allowed me to learn how different systems worked, how nature worked, how nature solved some problems, and I also learned to systematize my thinking. Okay, and it's kind of funny that nowadays I work with machine learning and artificial intelligence, and these are technologies that they go get some of their bases from nature. Like we have neural networks, for example, that emulate the neurons in our brains. So I think this was really a complementary education that was important at the time for me. But in my spare times, I continued programming. At the time, it was Pascal that was all the hype, and MS-DOS was also the operating system that we used. So Windows was just about uh, appearing, and everything was all text-based, but we had a lot of fun with it. And I also enjoyed very much building my own computer, so learning how the internals worked, trying out different parts, and doing upgrades. So that was all things that amazed me. And one of my other great passions was music. So I started to learn how to play guitar. I already knew how to play piano because I started to learn it by the age of 4. But during this time, guitar was really and still is one of my favorite instruments. And there was a time before going to college where I had to decide whether I wanted to pursue a musical career or a computer engineering career. So these were my two big passions. And I went the computer route, and I don't regret it. But probably the world has lost a guitar legend or not. But I try to be as good a computer engineer as I can. So I'm very pleased every day in what I do, and I think that's the most important. So then, when I went to college in 1995, um, well, this really opened my mind. So I got to have the chance to contact with different realities, to learn lots of different subjects, to really go in depth regarding computer systems, regarding building software, and the most important skill that I believe I got from college was learning to learn. So I had to develop the ability to learn new things, to be able to build upon the pre-existing knowledge that I already have and explore new territories by myself and learn new subjects. And of course, having amazing teachers that were always available to help. But the teachers were there more to provide guidelines, directions, and as mentors, of course, and just to support you in your learning process. And I think that is really very important. That is what we call in the famous sentence, teaching how to fish and not just giving the fish. Okay. So by this time, just to time frame this, Google was about becoming was being born, and the most famous search engine at the time was Alta Vista, and Yahoo was really big. So these were more or less the beginnings of the internet. And yeah, I was a part and could really watch all this appearing and growing. So I really think this time at college was really when I stepped up my skills and had an exponential growth and really was a launching ramp for the rest of my professional life. I advise everyone here at MakeWise. We frequently have internals and internships, and many times they are from high schools. And I always encourage people to go on with and develop their studies and go to college, because although it's not a guarantee nowadays that you will have a job, well, in computer science it probably is, because there is a huge lack of resources, but fundamentally it gives you the tools for you to be able to explore whatever professional path you want in the future. And so when after I got my degree, I went to work, and my first job was at a company called Altitude Software. It was a Portuguese company, but that already worked for the international market. We were number 2 doing software for contact centers, And I believe this was also a landmark experience for me. And why was that? Because I got the chance to join an amazing team with amazing people, very skillful, but also very human. So they received me very well, and they started to teach me not only with words but also by example how you should be part of a team. How was the day to day of a software team like? And so I had to do things like analyze requirements, software requirements, or that is translate something that was put in simple language, and see how could we implement that in with technology. Also defining architectures for the solutions that we wanted to implement, and programming, of course, lots of programming in different languages. So here, around here, I started using Microsoft .NET. So .NET was being released by this time. It wasn't a reality before. And also during all the development life cycle, I got also the chance to do some testing and quality assurance, which is a fundamental part when you're creating a product, and doing also support and maintenance, getting some contact with the end customer, which is also very important. So you get a sense of reality and the issues your customers are facing in the real world. So this was basically my experience working in a company for someone else. After this, and after having worked for about a year as in an independent way, I created MakeWise. So, and what is MakeWise? Well, at the moment, MakeWise is a software company, and we are doing solutions based in computer vision and artificial intelligence to automate operations in other companies. So basically, this is it. I will explain it further, but MakeWise wasn't born this way. We were born as a pure consulting company doing turnkey projects. So, and in this field, we did several projects for quite a few years. I'm bringing some examples here in the intelligent transport systems world, where we did several projects for the main roadway operator here in Portugal that is already operating worldwide also. And we did things like semi-automatic lanes. That is a machine that combines payment with an electronic tag to identify your vehicle, or you can pay through the casual means with money or credit cards. And so those were two different realities, and we were able to mix these two systems and create a new type of lane that could operate both ways. And also doing electronic payments in parkings, in ferry boats, where you can pay without leaving your vehicle. Okay, and these were all systems that were highly critical. They had to operate 24/7. They couldn't have flaws, because if anything went wrong, someone would lose money, and this is critical. And so this gave us lots of opportunities also for personal growth and technical growth. So we had to design systems that not only involved software, but some of them also involved hardware. And of course, we didn't do all this by ourselves. We had partners that were specialized, some in mechanics, some in electronics, and so we had several quite successful projects here. Some of the other examples are systems to do telematics management, and telematic equipments are equipments like variable message signs, weather stations, traffic counters, and also systems that do the monitoring of a complete network from the devices and the hardware, and also the software and the systems. So we had a system that could monitor business rules and do a preemptive interventions if if something wasn't working as expected. And by this time, we started having contact with some computer vision world things. So we did a project in partnership with a university here in Portugal, the University of Coimbra. And you can see here this picture of a roadway that has some blue and orange design on top of it. This is a system that is comprised of a software component that is fed by video streams. So we have cameras monitoring the roadways, and the software processes the video stream and it learns where the traffic is flowing. And after learning where the traffic flows and where the road is, it enters the monitoring operations mode, where it detects wrong way vehicles or vehicles stopped in the road, or maybe an animal walking on the road, which is really a danger. And it triggers an alert to the operational people so they can take the proper procedures. So this was a very condensed description of the years where we were doing consulting. But from 2014, since then, we did a dramatic strategic shift in MakeWise. So we went from a pure services company to a product company. We started building products around computer vision and AI. And we already have some products on the market and quite a few others that we are working on still internally, but they will see the light of day soon. So I hope. And so we devised a concept, an umbrella concept, which is Checkpoint Vision. So this is a set of technologies that provide the capability to automatically extract, analyze, and understand useful information from a single image or a video sequence of images. So after extracting this information, what we want to do is automate some kind of process and automatically advise or execute the best action according to the scenario we're facing. And the first product that we created, of course, it had something to do with the area that was more close to us, the transportation, and we did a system to identify vehicles. So the vehicles can be identified either through the license plate, which is the more common means, but we can also recognize other vehicle characteristics like the brand and color, or even the VIN number. This is the vehicle identification number that is usually behind the windshield. And so, for example, we have a system that can capture a photo on a mobile phone and just recognize all the 17 characters of the VIN. And this technology can be used in quite different scenarios. It can be used in car parking and access control. It can be used in road tolling charges. And it's also being used in gas stations. I have a use case that I will present to you next. But just to sum up, this is a technology that can be delivered in quite different ways, from a server on premise to a cloud scenario in software as a service, or even running on mobile or embedded devices. So regarding this technology in gas stations, what we have is a system that can automatically identify a vehicle as it reaches the gas pump. And so we can alert the operator if this customer is a customer, let's say, of interest. And what do I mean by this? It can be a customer that has a track record of not paying previous refuelings. So it is a high-risk customer. Or it can be a customer that has mobility issues and he needs help refueling. And so the operator automatically goes to the customer and helps him refuel. And this technology is being used very successfully by BP here in Portugal, and more recently by Repsol also. And to give you an idea, we had a model here in Portugal where most gas stations were in prepaid mode. So the customers were being treated with suspicion. They had to prepay and then they could refuel. But with this technology, all gas stations started to stay out of prepayment because now they have the technology to help them decide if the customer is reliable or not. So this is an example of the automation in the real world of a scenario that had a great impact. And as you can imagine, these real world scenarios aren't exactly the most the easier to work regarding computer vision because you have lots of different conditions. You don't have two equal gas stations. Every gas station is different. The cars don't stop in the same place. You have lighting conditions that are different throughout the day. The sun can sometimes cause some glares, and so all that just it means trouble regarding computer vision and automating image processing. But this is exactly where we provide more value. Okay, so in the dynamic scenarios that can be totally different is where we feel at home. So another solution that we have regarding logistics is the remote checkpoint to provide control of raw material transportation. So these are road equipments that are placed near roads where the trucks pass carrying raw materials that need to be visible outside so they can be covered, of course. Typically, this is being used for wood log transportation. And when the truck passes by these equipments, we capture several images in different angles, and then we process that information. So this is almost totally autonomous. It just needs energy to operate, but even the detection of the truck is being done by computer vision. We don't have any kind of sensors. And so what this does is after capturing the images, it uploads them to a cloud central system where all the information is available in a back office to all the organization. And some of the things that we do, of course, we identify the license plates of the truck, but we also identify the wood logs, the individual wood logs in the cargo, and we create what we call a cargo fingerprint because the wood log disposition is unique. You cannot fake it. So if this disposition is exactly the same at the destination, we know that the cargo wasn't tampered with. If there was any change in the cargo, even if the cargo was changed to a different truck and the wood logs are the same, we can detect it because it's impossible to place them in the same way. So this is another example of automation where we just trigger alerts when we detect changes in the cargo, and so a human can inspect it in a more thorough way. And this system is quite reliable. The cargoes that aren't validated by the system, they are just refused by the factory where they are being delivered, and so a human needs to check the cargo and allow it to enter or not. Okay. So this can also be used for other scenarios like shipping. I have some images from steel rollers here. And in this scenario, we place a small remote checkpoint near the crane, and this aids the inspector. So a human is usually certifying the cargo that is being loaded in the ship. And this system aids the inspector in the sense that it captures pictures of the cargo that is being loaded, but it also counts the items. So the inspector can use its time to check for cargo quality and other things, and it doesn't need to be full-time present to count every item that is being loaded. This is quite a painful process because loading a boat sometimes can take more than a whole day. Okay. And more recently, um, we've been developing a system for canteens and self-service restaurants. And this is a system that uses smart vision sensors to recognize the food that is placed on a tray and automatically calculate the bill and charge the customer. So basically, the customer just chooses the food, places it on the tray, and then it passes a self-checkout kiosk where the food is visually recognized and the bill is confirmed by the client. He just pushes a button and it's automatically charged electronically and he can go enjoy his meal. So much faster and much more streamlined process. I have some examples here of real pictures to see some of the things that we are able to recognize. So this is really a largely dynamic scenario because, as you can imagine, even if we're talking of the same kind of food, it's impossible to have two equal dishes. So the dishes are all different, and we need to have artificial intelligence algorithms that are able to recognize the food in whichever way it is presented. So we can recognize quite different things from beverages to desserts to main dishes, fruit, everything that is on the menu. Okay. Well, and as you can imagine, these are all critical systems that involve quite a few different skills. So we're mainly software, as I've told you, but we work in partnership with several companies. And when we need more expertise in a matter that isn't exactly in our core, we go to some partners, involve them in our projects, and build a final solution. And now I'm just going to talk a bit about what I think are the skills necessary for an entrepreneur, and particularly a startup entrepreneur, which is not living the easy life as it is in the subtitle. Although it now seems that it's very glamorous to build a startup and to live in a startup. Well, it's not really just all roses. It has quite a few thorns. And when you're working in a company where you don't have many resources, you have to wear several hats. And when you're starting to build out your team, when you don't yet have people for specific roles, you have to know a bit about different things. So, of course, nowadays uh, I have to work on systems engineering, and this is my core skill set. I still deal with designing and implementing systems, either with software, but sometimes working with hardware also. We are bringing computer vision and AI to the edge to be run on small IoT devices. This is a challenge, but it's already happening. And so we need to be able to work from legacy systems, traditional systems with desktop and server computers, but also with mobile devices, with cloud architectures that are increasingly more dynamic and more complex, and also with the embedded devices, with things like Raspberry Pis, which is a very popular platform, but also many others that are coming to the market. And of course, we cannot only be concerned with the technology and with creating things, although that's what us engineers like to do, is building things and making things blink. But when you're creating a company, you also have to be very thoughtful about business development. So we are always exploring new business opportunities, trying out different business models, and looking out for how we can apply our technology to solve real world problems. So this is really, I believe, our cornerstone of everything that we do. We start with the real world a problem or opportunity, and not the other way around, trying to push our technology to solve every problem that we encounter. As they say, when you have a hammer, everything looks like a nail. But this is not our case. We start with the market and our customers in mind. And as we work in quite recent technologies that are always in permanent evolution, we also do lots of research. So we almost every day we read new papers that come out. We research new technologies. We try out new things. We see what works, what doesn't. We aren't afraid to disrupt the way that we've been doing things up to now and try something new. Even if it doesn't work, we've learned a lesson. Okay. And so time management. Time management is also a huge issue because uh, when you have few resources, you have to be very thoughtful about how you use your time. And more than the time, the energy management is very important. So you should mainly manage your energy throughout the day, throughout the week, or throughout the year, having some times to rest also, which is also important. And not only the time, we usually hear a lot about time management, but I believe that it's more than that. And to maximize our productivity, we also try to automate lots of things. And I'm talking things, not only technical things and the development process things, but also marketing, sales. Well, I believe that as engineers are always looking out on opportunities to apply technology to solve problems. So when I have something that I feel is taking a lot of manual work and is has some kind of repetitiveness to it, I always try to find a way to automate it. Oh, so and then also the marketing and sales. This is fundamental. You always have to be promoting your products, interacting with the community, showing up, getting to others to know what you do, gather new leads and opportunities. Otherwise, you can have the coolest technology in the world, but it's never going to leave your company and your office, and you die sooner or later. So this is also a huge aspect of being an entrepreneur. And uh, you also have to learn and be knowledgeable about finance and accounting. So this doesn't have anything to do with the computer engineering, but it comes with the game. So and you always need to be mindful about the financial health of your company. How are you going to live in the next 6 months, in the next year, in the next 5 years? Whether you need financing or not, how are you going to finance your operations? So this is also a subject. And last but not least, and probably this is the most important one, the human resources. So scouting for new team members, finding the right team members that fit in your culture and in your company strategy. This is fundamental. But also developing the skills and coaching the people that are already in your team. So, and I think this is the linchpin of the success of any organization, and mainly a technology company like ours. This is really the prime matter, and the gray matter is the prime matter of our success. Okay, so I would like finally to leave you with three key takeaways. I'm looking forward for your questions and will gladly answer them. But I would like to leave you with three key takeaways to take with you from this presentation. So the first one is change is the only constant. And this seems like a commonplace, but it really is true. So we need to be comfortable with the uncomfortability of change. Okay, we need to learn how to live with change and always be willing and looking to change. And the change is happening in a more in an even more increasing pace. So it's pointless to fight it. We just need to learn how to make the best out of change and be a part of it. Okay. The second one, never stop learning. So remember when I told you that one of the most important skills I got from college was learning to learn? Yeah. So always be willing to learn new things, to evolve your knowledge, to get more in depth with the things that interest you, and never stop learning until you die. Okay? And the final one. This is a quote from the Tony Robbins. He's a famous guy. I don't know if you know him, but uh, basically the point is ask better questions. Okay, this is fundamental for success because usually during our education, I think this is something that is missing, is teaching kids from early on how to ask questions and how to ask the right questions. Because usually we are presented with some problem in the form of already formulated questions. But if we aren't able ourselves to formulate these questions, we will never get good answers. Because if you don't have the right question, or if you have the wrong one, you will get the wrong answer. So embrace change, always keep learning, and always ask better questions. So thank you very much. I am now available for any questions that you may have,
Thank you
and
very much. It was
thanks for your patience.
very inspirational and then such a positive message. So I really enjoyed it. I hope our participants did as well. There is a question from me and one of the participants, but I see there are multiple attendees also typing. So I will ask you this question first from one of our participants. What would you recommend for your students, for their students to start in school with? Perhaps she refers to what is a starting point um, in
Well, but the starting point regarding proceeding a
yeah,
career
perhaps
in
we
computer
could ask
software, or,
her to clarify. I would ask also, yes, go ahead.
because if this is a more broad question, if this is a more broad question, I will give a broad answer, which is teach the kids how to think, and provide incentives for
Yes,
kids to think by
I
themselves.
think.
But
No, go ahead,
well,
go ahead.
regarding, yeah, sorry. So if it's more computer related or software related, of course, this involves lots of logical thinking. So we see nowadays an increasing offer in the form of even some educational games for little kids to start solving problems using logical thinking. But I think that, yeah, that is the basis of it. If we're talking about the early years, I would start there, and we're starting to have wonderful resources for
I think
schools.
yes, she commented in the comments now that she was asking more in the broad sense of how to get started in a career such as yours. So if you want to add anything,
Yeah, so basically, also instigating the curiosity in kids, I think that is really important because I remember when I was very young, I always had a quite inquiring mind. So I had a huge desire to learn how things worked and why they worked like they did. And even in school, when I learned the subject, I always asked myself, Why is it this way? Was it because someone decided it was like this, or how did they come to this conclusion or to this discovery? And so I think uh, basically, if you want to proceed an engineering career, be it software or other subject, but I'm talking about software, which is my area, you should have a quite inquiring mind and desire to learn the internals of things so you can devise better software
Okay,
systems.
thank you. So inquiry and an open mind and curiosity is key for starting such a career.
Yeah.
I have a question from one of the other participants. Um, she would like to ask you, how do you think in kindergarten teachers can already start teaching kids in this way and in a way to get them to start solving problems? Do you have an idea about this?
Well, I'm not an educational expert, but I can speak from my own experience. So I have a 2-year-old. I have an older daughter, but I have a younger one, which is just about now turning 2. And during using playing even with his toys, sometimes I try to make him face some problems that he needs to think a bit about how he will solve them. So using playing, I think playing is amazing. Is an amazing tool for teaching. But yeah, I believe that even in kindergarten, through playing, you can plant this seed in kids on wanting to find solutions to problems that involve more than one step, that aren't immediate solutions, but involve more than one step to reach the final goal.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Then I also have a question myself, which is more about the skills that you need to develop to get where you are. So you are an entrepreneur, you are a consultant, you have a lot of I would say you different areas of skills that you need. And I'm curious, how do you balance like developing soft skills and also the technical skills? How do you get it all into your under your expertise?
Well, it's learn as you go. so, I've always been quite fond of learning. So I do lots of reading and researching. And nowadays you have fabulous resources on the internet. So you have lots of videos, you have online courses, you have blogs, you have podcasts. So this is really it's the wonderland for people that want to develop their skills. I wish I had all this stuff when I was a kid trying to learn how to play guitar, and I had to ask for someone when they went abroad to bring me a music book that I wish to have. But nowadays it's all in the point of your finger. So there are quite huge amount of resources, and I use every resource that I can get to develop my skills every day. So yeah, I'm constantly pursuing that, and of course, you are faced with challenges and problems that you have to solve in your everyday life, be it work or personal life, and that's when you put your skills to work, and that's so many times where you identify gaps that you have in your skills and that you need to develop further.
And
So
and would you say that
basically,
there is
that's
a
it.
balance between the soft skills that you use in your daily life and the technical skills, or is one more important than the other?
Well, from the in the position that I am, both are hugely important. So I need to balance as much, if not more, the soft skills as much as the technical skills. Because I have other people on my team. We're mainly software engineers. So I have lots of people in my team that have the technical skills. I don't have many that have as many soft skills in other complementary areas. So many times those need to come from me. But I think that yes, people should be mindful of developing their soft skills early on, even if they're pursuing a technical career, because you're going to have to deal with people throughout your life, and people are really the key many times to reach success or to reach a solution. You know, you can have the best of the technologies, but usually people are the problem. Whether you're trying to change something in an organization or adopting a new technology or trying to reach a solution, it can be technically wonderful, but if the people don't use it, don't embrace it, in the end, it's not going to be
Okay, thank you.
successful.
And perhaps a last question from one of our participants. Um, the question is, how can you motivate students or, well, people in general to get excited about STEM careers? Do you have an idea for this question?
Yeah. Well, yes, I can speak a bit from my experience also. I was lucky to have some wonderful teachers. So if you're speaking from the perspective of a teacher, I would say that if you instigate the yearning for learning in your kids, and if you instigate the willingness to to address problems by yourself, to think by yourself, to develop your skills, I think that's the best way to achieve that objective of providing incentive to kids to proceed a STEM career. Um, I know that for many people and youngsters, the STEM subjects and mathematics and science, they seem like really complicated stuff. But from my experience, I was lucky to have teachers that simplify things, and also I believe that having a connection with the reality and transmitting the sense that everything that is math related and science related is just a way to understand the world around you. So it's just models that we've created as humans to be able to understand and to have a saying and change our world. So, and I think this is a huge incentive, because then the kids aren't just learning formulas or uh, theoretical things. They're learning about a way to do magical stuff, and having some tools to have an impact in the world. So maybe it could go
Thank you
through
very
that route.
much. I think that was all the questions for now.
Okay.
Um, yes, I see there are no other questions in the chat. So I would like to first of all thank you very much for your presentation and for your, well, very inspiring webinar. I think we all go home with a very positive message. And to all our sorry?
Okay. Thank you very much for inviting me. Thank you very
And
much for
to all of our
inviting me.
participants,
Yes.
thank you very much for being here today, for attending the webinar, and for interacting in the chat. If you would like to receive a certificate for attending this webinar, then my colleague Björn is going to share the link to the feedback form. If you attended the webinar and fill in this feedback form, then you will be able to receive a certificate. And yes, I think that's all from my side now. Thank you very much again, and hope to see you next time. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you
Bye.
very much. All the best to you. Bye-bye.